Hey y'all, it's Brooke with HubSpot. Today, I'm going to go over how you can use the Sequences API to grab data about all your public sequences in your account, as well as enroll contacts into sequences using the API. This way, you can enroll contacts from third-party data sources into your HubSpot sequence. So to use this API, let's go ahead and look at how sequences are used in your HubSpot account. In the main navigation, hover over Automations, and then click on Sequences. Here, you'll see a list of all of your sequences that are public and private to you. In order to use this API, your sequences must be set to public. Any private sequences will not appear when you grab data using this API. To create a new sequence, let's go ahead and click on the Create Sequence button, and then you'll see a couple of options for how to build out a sequence. Let's go ahead and start with a pre-made sequence. And let's say that it's an event follow-up. So this is great for if you hosted an event and you want to reach out to people who attended, didn't attend, those kinds of things, and give them more information. So once you've chosen your sequence, you can go ahead and click Create Sequence. And now on this section, you can go ahead and add extra steps. You can automate different steps, however you want to change it. You can also add A/B tests if you want to create different versions of email sends. So when you're using the Sequences API, you have to have the user ID of the person who owns the sequence. So up here in the top area, it tells you who the owner is. In this case, I'm the owner. So I will have to use my user ID in the API call in order to get this sequence. So let's go ahead and click on Save. So let's keep the sequence name the same. And then let's make sure when we set who can see this sequence, we are just going to go ahead and set it to everyone, which will make it public. Now let's go ahead and click on Save. Awesome. Now we have created our sequence. So let's go ahead and grab my user ID because we will need that in order to do the API call. And then we'll go over to our Postman collection to make these calls. So to find a user ID within your account, go to the top navigation and click on Settings. And then you're going to click on Users and Teams. And next, you're just going to click on the user that you want. So for me, I'm just going to go ahead and click on myself. And now we're just going to grab the user ID from the URL. However, you can automate this process by using the Users API to get any user ID from there. So we're going to just go over here and we're going to click on the URL and then grab this user ID. And we're going to copy that over. Great. Now let's go ahead and go over to Postman. So we're in the HubSpot created public API workspace inside of Postman. This has collections for all of our public APIs that we have available. The Sequences API is part of our Automations API. So we're going to go ahead and fork over the Automation API collection by hovering over it, clicking on the three dots and clicking Create a Fork. We're going to just go ahead and label it the Automation Fork. And let's watch the original collection. And now let's click on Fork Collection. Great. Now we have our own forked version of this API collection. Let's open up the folder and then go to the Sequences API. So I'm going to hover over the Automation API folder, then click on the caret to open it up. And we see the Sequences API folder. So let's go ahead and open this up by clicking on the caret as well. And now we will see that there are two different folders inside of here, Public Enrollments and Public Sequences. So public enrollments allow you to add contacts to public sequences, and public sequences allows you to get data about different sequences. So first, let's get data about different sequences. So we're going to open up the public sequences folder. And so we see that we have two get calls in here. So the first one is going to get a sequence using the user ID and some other query params that you send along, like after, limit, and name. Those are all optional. The user ID is not optional. And the second get call allows you to get a sequence by the sequence ID as well as the user ID who owns that sequence. So first, let's just get all of the sequences that I own. So the first thing that we have to do here is set the base URL. So we can just go ahead and click over this, and then it will say enter the value when we hover over it. And this one is just our HTTPS api.hubapi.com. And now we're going to go ahead and click add to the collection. So this is going to be for all of these calls within the Automation API collection. And now let's go ahead and paste in that user ID that I got for myself. And let's unclick after, limit, and name. So now that we have all that set up, let's go over to the authorization tab. For this one, we are going to use a private app token. So we're going to change it from API key to bearer token. And then we have to go over to our HubSpot account to generate a new auth token. So inside of our HubSpot account, we're going to go to the top navigation and click on the settings icon. Then we're going to scroll down until we see integrations. We're going to say private apps. So now on this private apps page, we're going to create a private app. Let's just go ahead and call it the Sequences API. And then let's go over to scopes. And for this one to work, let's add our new scope and let's search for sequences. And let's go ahead and click on the sequences enrollments write and sequences read. That will allow us to add in context later. And let's go ahead and update this. And now we're going to go ahead and click create app. In the pop-up, let's click continue creating. Then we'll go ahead and press show token and copy that. And then we can go ahead and close this. Now that we have our token, let's go back to Postman. All right, inside of Postman, let's go ahead and paste in our token. And now we're ready to make this call. So now we're just going to click on send. And we can see that we have a 200. So all the data worked. And so now let's see what the data looks like. So it will show you how many public sequences you have, as well as the ID, the name of the sequence when it was created, and the user ID of the person who created it. So this doesn't have a lot of data that you can work with. So that's why let's go ahead and see what happens when we use the other get call. So in order to do this, let's go ahead and grab one of these sequence IDs because we will need that for our call. And then let's go over to the other call. And then inside of this path variable, let's add in our sequence ID. And then we will also need to continue to use the user ID that we used last time. So inside of our query param is where we're going to add our user ID value. Let's make sure that our authorization is set up. We're just going to go ahead and change this to bearer token as well. It should persist our token from the other call so we don't have to re-add it. And now let's go ahead and click on send. And let's see how this result differs from the other one. So this one specifically gives you the steps that are included within this particular sequence. This call also has some setting information about the sequence as well as any dependencies. As you can see, this get call is much more granular to a specific sequence and allows you to get a lot more data on that particular sequence. Whereas the other one is just going to list out the different public sequences that one single owner has. Now let's see how we can use this API in order to enroll a contact into a sequence. So we're going to go ahead and open up the folder called public enrollments. So in this folder, we have two calls. One is a get call to get all of the users that are currently enrolled in a sequence, and a post call in order to add someone to a new sequence. So let's go ahead and look at the post call. In order to use this API, we will need to have the user ID of the person who owns the sequence. So let's go ahead and paste in my user ID. Let's go ahead and set the authorization. Again, we'll just use our bearer token. And then in the body, we're going to send along the information about this person that we are going to enroll. So in order to make this call, we need their contact ID from your HubSpot account. We need the sender email, and we need the sequence ID. So let's go back to our HubSpot account to grab a contact ID. So in the main navigation, hover over CRM and click contacts. And let's go ahead and enroll myself. So now in the URL, we're going to just go ahead and grab my record ID number. And now that we have that, let's go back to Postman. Inside of Postman, let's go ahead and paste that contact ID in. And let's go ahead and send the sender email as mine. And finally, let's get that sequence ID. We're going to do the sequence ID of the event follow-up one. So we have that now. And let's go back to our post request and paste that in. So now that we have all that information, let's go ahead and click send. And awesome, it went ahead and enrolled me in this sequence. So let's go ahead and look at the sequence inside of our HubSpot account. So go back to automations and sequences. And now in our event follow-up, we should see a total enrollment of 1. And we can go ahead and click into it and then click on who it is, and it will show me. So that's how we used the Sequences API to get the public sequences we have available within our account and add new users to the sequence from the API call. This is really helpful if you need to enroll contacts into HubSpot sequences from a third-party source. As always, all of the links to this documentation will be down in the description box below, so please make sure to check that out. And thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe to the HubSpot Developers YouTube channel, and I will see you all in another video. Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.